Hi, and welcome to this bonus episode of Dramatic Dream Dragons, a podcast all about Dragon Gate and DDT. This week it will be a DDT guide, because we have Wrestle Peter Pan on the horizon in July, and that is the biggest show of DDT's year. So we figured that we, the Dramatic Dream Dragons, were gonna do a guide for DDT, just like we did for Kobe World. Or like for Dragon Gate before Kobe World. So, but in that episode, I had Dylan with me. This episode, I will have Yannik with me because he's the DDT expert on our trio. How are you, Yannik?
I'm well, thank you, Sondre. The dramatic is back. Of course, the dramatic dream team, DDT, needs the dream also, but we can't serve with Dylan this week. But, that it will suffice.
So, this will be a guide, a general guide about DDT that maybe older fans of DDT does not need to listen to, because we will be explaining a lot of the stuff that you already know if you've been watching DDT for a couple of years. But if you're new to DDT, want to check it out and want to like learn how DDT works, this will be the show for you. So this is a very noob-friendly episode, and first of all, I want to start with some general knowledge about DDT and to explain what DDT is. So, Yannik, why don't you explain what Dramatic Dream Team is all about?
Dramatic Dream Team, DDT, as we'll call it henceforth, is the brainchild of Sanshiro Takagi, who is the founder and president of this wonderful company. And what you need to know about Sanshiro Takagi is that he's a very big WWE fan, especially of the Attitude Era. And that's kind of how he views wrestling.
Yeah.
It's all the, like, if you're new to Japanese wrestling, maybe you get your first fix with New Japan and you hear strong style and maybe you think that's all that Japanese wrestling is. But then you see DDT, you see a blow up doll, you see anal explosions.
You see Kenny Omega punching a 9-year-old girl.
Yes, exactly. That's all also wrestling, and it's most of these things is DDT.
Yeah.
And what also, like, the motto of the Dramatic Dream Team of DDT is encapsulated in their biggest show of the year, in Peter Pan. Because as Peter Pan never did, DDT vows to never grow up, and it shows year of the year, show after show.
Yeah. And something I've always graduated towards with DDT is that they're so honest with how they approach that philosophy. They are always honest about what you're going to get on DDT, and you're going to get a mix of everything. You're going to, if you want a like big, strong style match, you can have that because they have people like Higuchi and Yuji Hino chopping each other as hard as they can. But also on the same card, they will have Yoshihiko, the blow up doll, being pile driven like multiple times, or pile driving someone else multiple times around, and being so over the top as possible. And I love that about DDT. It's such a like fun time every show that it's really entertaining.
Absolutely, DDT truly has something for everybody.
Yeah.
Which in turn also means it has some parts that maybe aren't for you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think DDT can be really divisive for some people, because like they don't like the pheromones or damnations like we don't, but it's just a part of it that isn't for us and has still a big fan base, and is a valid part of the product, and it shouldn't deter you if you know, like, okay, this isn't, like, this part isn't for me. I assure you there are other parts that absolutely are to your liking.
Yeah. And it's on such a good subscription service. Also, it's such a affordable, great subscription service in wrestling. You can watch it on Wrestle Universe for $6 per month, I think. And with WrestleUniverse.com, you don't only get DDT Pro Wrestling. You get Pro Wrestling Noah, Tokijoshi Pro, and Gambare Pro, which Gambare Pro is an offshoot of DDT that serves like kind of a child of DDT, kind of.
Yeah, Gun Pro is great. Gun Pro is like the independent promotion of DDT, which is in itself an independent promotion. The fun part is that they're all owned by Cyber Agent, which is a huge company and are by definition not independent.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great subscription service to have if you want to watch Japanese pro wrestling, because you get 4 promotions and you will get like the whole archives to most of the promotions from the at least from the recent years. They don't have that much from like the 2000s, but those are going to be harder to find. But they will have from like 2015 onwards. But yeah, that is where to watch it. Some good English coverage to follow on Twitter and stuff like that is the DDT Pro English account, which is the English Twitter account. They are so on top of their game. They post translations to every promo the minute it happens on the shows. They post great translations on to every press conference and all that, and they're so good. They're one of my favorite English pro wrestling accounts because they help you know so much if you don't understand Japanese.
Like, if I have one criticism, it's that they're too active and that I kind of get lost.
Yeah, you have to scroll a bit to find it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Cyber Fight promotions definitely understood how important English coverage is.
Yeah, and that most of the big shows will also have English commentary, so that is also a plus. Then there's a website and a Twitter account that's called Dramatic DDT, where they have the whole schedule of DDT written out in English format all of the time, and they also put in Tokijoshi Pro, Gambare Pro, and Basara on that website. So it's a great website just to find the schedule for even those companies, not even DDT. So definitely check out dramaticddt.com also.
dramaticddt.wordpress.com.
.wordpress.com, and they have a Twitter account that it's just Dramatic DDT.
Man, it's run by Jamie OD on Twitter. The work he does is so important, so great.
Yeah,
other promotions should envy DDT for what they have here. This is great.
For sure. And then, with that said, we should get into how the title system works and where else to start with the KOD Openweight Championship, the main title. The KOD part of it stands for King of DDT, so it's shortened into King KOD. The current champion right now is Yuji Hino in his second reign, and yeah, why don't you explain some history about this title?
Oh, history. Now you're expecting something from me, huh? Yeah, the fun part is that often if you're thinking like New Japan, like this is an open weight championship. So why isn't the biggest championship the heavyweight? But this essentially means that everybody is eligible for it.
Yeah.
And this is the best of the best. The KOD Openweight is in recent years firmly in hands of like good wrestlers.
Yeah.
Which isn't like historically accurate. Like back in 2018, Don Chocodino, we'll get to him later. He was champion. Also foreigners like Sammy Callihan, in like short reigns were
The
there.
first world title reign of Kenny Omega is the KOD Openweight title. Just letting you know to the AEW listeners.
Yes.
Before
Kenny Omega, big part.
before he went to New Japan, he was a DDT regular, and especially with that title.
I just I'll read you the list of champions in 2012. First we had Masa Takanashi. Well, no, Sanshiro Takagi won the championship on January 4th.
Yeah.
Oh no, it is it January 4th? It isn't January 4th, it's April 4th because it's not the English layout here. Okay, Sanshiro Takagi winning of Dansho Kirino, Masa Takanashi winning it, and then Yuji Hino, great horse. Kota Ibushi, beloved by everybody.
Yeah.
He lost it to El Generico.
Sami Zayn in WWE.
Who lost it to Kenny Omega, who lost it to Shigehiro Irie, and that's followed by Harashima.
Who really, we'll talk more about Harashima later, but Harashima, to me, is the man that has personified the KOD Openweight title.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe he is rivaled by Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah, in later years, yes. In later years, there's definitely him and Konosuke Takeshita, but Harashima very much is the guy that I would say, much like Hiroshi Tanahashi in New Japan, elevated the KOD Openweight title to a big status and got it to legendary matches. Like the reign you just mentioned when he won it in 2013 from Irie, like that all started the awesome ace reign that I really love from him. And if you want to go back and watch some classic DDT matches, and not just the Kenny Omega and Ibushi matches, which you probably have seen, but if you want to watch some classic DDT matches, I highly recommend every one of Harashima and Shigehiro Irie's matches, because those are some of my favorite DDT matches of all time.
Absolutely. My favorite is the 2016 rendition.
Yeah, same.
But yeah. And in recent years, like right now, Yuji Hino is champion. He won it in January from Katsusada Higuchi, who had a 210-day reign, which is my favorite title reign in history, if you ask me. That was perfection. So the KOD Openweight really stands for great wrestling in 2023.
Yeah. I would say it is a title that, yes, there have been people like Don Shikutino who has held it, but those, when they've won the title, they have personified the heart of DDT and earned that shot. And it's I always feel like they give the title to someone that really embodies the DDT spirit. And that's why I'm really rooting for Chris Brooks to beat Yuji Hino at Wrestle Peter Pan later this year. Some other people that should be mentioned that has held this has actually been held by one woman before, and that is none other than Meiko Satomura in 2018. That I just had to mention it because it's so funny that she held it, and I love it.
That was they did a whole storyline with All Out, which was a faction in DDT against Sendai Girls.
Yeah.
And in the course of this feud, Meiko won the championship, and like all they did in that feud was like great wrestling.
Yeah. But then we move over to the secondary. I would call it the second highest positioned title, the DDT Universal Championship, which is currently held by Tetsuya Endo. Why don't you explain a bit about the DDT Universal Championship?
Universal Championship was is a really weird one.
It's also very recent.
It was started in 2020 for Chris Brooks, to like promote DDT overseas.
Yeah.
And it should kind of be like a traveling or like an intercontinental title that outsiders can face for. In February 2020, 2 months later, the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Chris lost it to Sasaki and won it back. It's a really weird championship somehow. Right now, Tetsuya Endo is champion, which is interesting because, like most people would say that Endo is over, like stationed over this championship. But I think it's kind of interesting to see like how they try to elevate it.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest elevation it ever had was in the end of 2020 when Yuki Ueno won it, because that started the best Universal title win we have seen so far in its very short reign, like lifespan.
You can watch practically every match in Ueno's first title reign and be satisfied.
Some of the best matches of DDT's pandemic years, and so if those are definitely worth watching. I that really started elevated that title to become like the secondary title in many people's eyes, and then of course Daisuke Sasaki won it back again, and it kind of dwindled a bit, and it's been kind of like in between that like status the last year. Now with Endo holding it, I hope it will lead to it having some great matches. Of course, it already has the first great match which was him versus when he defended against Mao earlier this year, and that was great. Of course, he's defending it against Matt Cardona at Wrestle Peter Pan, so we don't know if that's going to be that special. But
man, your hate for Matt Cardona is kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, that is. It might be going back to the original plan of defending it against outsiders, because even after Matt Cardona has challenged for it, there are already talks about having another WWE wrestler come over in August. That was revealed earlier this week in June. So we don't know who that is yet, but we will probably know when this episode comes out. And
yeah,
I think they might be going back to the Universal title being the defending title against the foreigners. We'll see if my prediction about that is right, but I do think that that is the plan right now. Then we have the DDT Extreme Championship. This is currently vacated because of Shunma Katsumoto's injury, but it will have a champion by the time this episode's come out, because we are recording this in June, and in early June, and the vacant title will be decided at the June 25th Korakuen, and it will be between Kazuki
Hirata and Mao.
Kazuki Hirata and Mao. So either of those two are going to be the champions, and why don't you explain a bit about this very obvious DDT Extreme title name?
Yeah, Extreme stands for, well, Extreme, but basically it's the champion makes the rules. Every match will have a stipulation, and it's also always kind of a way to to form a championship run to like the specialties, or the odds of the title holder. So you can say like it stands for comedy or for hardcore wrestling. It really depends on the champion.
It really can stand for anything.
It can stand for anything. When Shunma is champion, it's most of the time like a hardcore championship.
Yeah.
Jun Akiyama was the last champion, and they tried to do like the legend Jun Akiyama in all these comedy matches. and none of them worked.
Yeah.
Except for his match against Kotaro Suzuki, where the special stipulation was normal wrestling rules.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there have been like other crazy rules like no low blow or like no shouting or something like that, or blackjack rules, anything. There are so many weird rules that they can do for this, and I love it because it's a very creative title. They can do a lot of fun with it, and as you said, it can be either a deathmatch title or it can be like a comedy title.
Yeah. I think the person I have synonymous with this title at the most is Shinya Aoki, the legendary MMA fighter Shinya Aoki, who gets to live out his fantasies in the wrestling ring with this title, in
Yeah.
mostly terrible comedy stuff.
If you want to have, we'll say this later, but if you want to have a trip down like, that sounds so weird, go and look up on Dramatic DDT's website the Extreme title's history, and you see how many different couple of matches they've had for that title, and you'll be shocked about how many different creative ways they have defended that title in its lifetime. But we'll talk about funny lineages later with another title. Then we move over to the KOD Tag Team Championships. Again, it stands for King of DDT Tag Team Champions, which says itself. It is the tag team title. It is the highest positioned tag team title in the company. They have other kinds of tag team titles, but those are 6 and other multimans. This is the main ones. They are currently vacated, but they will also be decided on the June 25th Korakuen, and it will be either MJ Paul and Daisuke Sasaki of Damnation TA, or it will be Yuki Ueno or Toi Kojima of Sona Kamina. So this is currently vacated, and it says itself. It is a tag team title. I love the tag team division in DDT. They have had some of my favorite matches just this year. Shunmao's reign until Shunmao got injured was so good, and it is such a fun time.
I'm just going through the list of the last few champions, and until beginning of 2020, when Nautilus became champions, Nautilus being Yuki Ueno and Naomi Yoshimura. Man, I miss those days.
Yeah.
There were only banger champions.
Yeah.
It's a really good division. Sadly, one that doesn't get a lot of attention. Shunmao were on a great run this year. Clearly, like the best run in all of DDT. We'll see what happens. I hope it isn't Damnation.
Yeah.
We'll get to Damnation later.
But this title reign this title has some great matches in its history, and I again, just like with the KOD Openweight title, I definitely have to recommend just watching any tag team involving Harashima with the title has been legendary. Like recently, him and Naomi Yoshimura, especially, was such a great title reign, and they were such a great tag team.
And Naomi Yoshimura is a tag team specialist.
Yeah, he is missed. He's injured right now. He's very missed. Him and Kazusada Higuchi last year was on such a good run until Yoshimura got injured. It has become kind of a worry for me because the last 2 reigns have both ended in injuries. So I hope they can get back on track with the next champions. We need the Shuma reign was on such a great track record to get there, but then Shuma got injured and it didn't get there. But it again, as Yannick said, this title just in the last few years has been such a highlight of DDT, and it's definitely one that you should watch out. Go and look on Cage Match and find some banger matches and watch them. You will have such a good time. And then the KOD 6-man tag championships. The current champions are Harimao, Kazusada Iguchi, Ryota Nakatsu, and Yuki Ishida. This is a title that often gets forgotten about by DDT.
Yeah, now we get into the realm where, DDT pulls out these championships if they need them. I think the 6-man tag team titles are still relatively important. They, at least the championship always gets brought to the ring by the champions. Here there were some really great teams in the past, but they're often like short reigns and really silly stuff. It's here we're clearly in the realm of using the titles as a storytelling device.
Yeah, this is the first of the rest of the titles we're going to mention are all like titles that they bring out when they need to have some importance to something.
More or less.
Yeah, to add something to a match or to a story. It's not a title that they really care that much about to have great reigns, because like there aren't any like reigns that I can remember off the top of my head of being like great like I could with the other titles.
Not since Eruption.
Yeah, not since Eruption. Eruption was the last one that were like really memorable. And but yeah, this is also a title that they can give to outsiders and it will not hurt anything. Like they have given it during the All Out and Sendai Girls feud, they gave it to Sendai Girls, Meiko, Dash, and Hashimoto, which was cool. They have given it to Strong Hearts. They have it is a title that they have given now to people coming in. Like last year when Naruki Doi came into the company, he won it in his first match in DDT ever. So that is kind of how they do it. But yeah, then there's the next title. This is one of my well, okay, we can mention the 10-man tag champions before the Iron Man. The 10-man tag championships are just like the 6-man tag championships, but even more forgotten. Currently, the champions are the Sonic Omena, Witchy and Aoki. So Yuki Ueno, Mao, Shunma Katsumata, Toi Kojima, and Shin Aoki. And they haven't defended it in like all of this year, I think.
The 10-man tag titles are great because they were 8-man titles for a while during the pandemic, because they needed to socially distance and there couldn't be like 10 people in the ring at once, so it could only be 8. And when the rules got lifted, it was like, okay, it's a 10-man title again, but the 8-man, like the title holders, which are only like 4 people, like they needed to defend it with only 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pulled this out of the bag like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
To have some really dumb fun, and that's it. And that's all it should be, and all it ever will be.
That is all it should be. And then we have one of my favorite titles in all of wrestling, the Iron Man Heavy Metal Weight Championship. You can win it anytime, anywhere. I am a former champion because I am one of the 100,000 YouTube subscribers because we won it one day. I think you are a former champion also.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you weren't subscribed at the time.
No. Yeah, the Iron Man, like everything everybody and everything can win it. The Ironman Heavy Metalweight Championship.
Yeah.
As long as there's a referee in the near vicinity to count the 3 count. And what you're speaking of, that there was a live stream, but not like a true live stream show. They just put up an iPad.
Yeah.
And like the tripod with the iPad fell, and it fell on the current champion, and the referee counted the 3 count, and it every subscriber to the YouTube channel was deemed the new champion until the iPad got pinned.
Yeah. So that is so long ago. That was last year. That was last year.
That feels like ages ago.
And since then, there has been 40 new champions. So that just the titles had switched hands 40 times since then. It is currently held by Yoshihiko, and they are holding it for the 20th time, and they are the 1571st Ironman Heavy Metal Champion. If you want to have really fun, just go through Dramatic DDT or the Wikipedia page for this title, and you will have. There are some people that you would never know have held this title. It is such a meme title. It is perfect for that. It has been held by chairs. It has been held by the Young Bucks' book held it.
Yeah, the Young Bucks' book was in a feud with Sakya Kai's photo book.
Yeah.
There was also that was in 2021. The title was by chairs, by leathers, by dogs. The title was held by the title itself.
The title has been held by Vince McMahon's Hollywood Walk of Fame star.
Yes. At one point, Antonio Honda and Shokudino Mizuki Watase and Yuki Onaya were all champions at the same time.
Yep. It is such a perfect title.
It's like the WWE 24/7 title, or
it is what they tried to do with the 24/7 title, but they weren't creative enough.
Yeah, well, DDT stole it from the WWE. Was it the hardcore title?
The hardcore title, yeah.
Okay. But like they did it better instantly.
Yeah. One of the most funny titles ever. It is, and of course it also sometimes even has some good matches. It has sometimes it gets defended in not comedy matches on DDT shows, and suddenly that match is good, but then they at the end of the match the champion lose anyway because they get rolled up by the ref or something.
Yeah, we need to mention that you need to defend it at all times.
Yeah.
So if somebody or something pins you at any time, even if you lose a tag match, but you get pinned, you lose the title. If somebody else gets pinned, you're still champion.
And this can add a lot of fun to meaningless tag matches on not important shows. Like you can have a Shinjuku face meaningless tag match, but because one of the members of the tag match is the Ironman Heavy Metal Champion, they can have some fun with that, and it leads to a lot of creative spots that are entertaining and very DDT. But yeah, then there's the over the 40 championship, which is held by Makoto Oishi right now. The over 40 title is you have to be over 40 to hold it, over 40 years old. It is a title that is almost never defended, just like the 10-man and the 6-man.
I love this title solely because of Toru Owashi, who was champion against his will.
Yeah, and he held it for 2 years almost.
Yeah, 663 days. And he never defended it once. He finally was able to vacate it to show that he's serious to win the tag titles.
Yeah. So fun.
He lost the tag titles match.
Yeah. But yeah, that is the titles. They have some titles that that can show up like anytime. But I like these are the main titles. I don't think we forgot any title.
No, not of the currently active ones. No.
There are a like gimmick like the Money in the Bank, the right to challenge anytime, anywhere stipulation. That is just a contract, basically. But they bring it out so irregularly, like you never know if it's gonna show up or not.
Yeah,
So that's why we don't mention it.
They haven't really done it since 2020.
They did it last year with Shinya Aoki.
Yeah, they did it, but like that was for a short time.
Yeah.
And they did it really regularly.
Yeah.
At one point, there were like 6 contracts, and one of them got lost because Meiko Satomura was champion and then went to the WWE.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, like some guys did the lineage, and I'm pretty sure at one point it was with Rhea Ripley when she was still in NXT. But I have no idea what the lineage looks like now.
That's funny. But yeah, that is the titles. Now we move over to the roster / the units. We'll mention it unit by unit, and then move on to the rest of the roster that isn't affiliated with any units, because DDT have like a deep unit system, but it's not impossible for people from different units to team with other units or unaffiliated people, but they still are very based in units. It's still like just like Dragon Gate or New Japan or something like that, where everyone it gets fitted into a unit that is kind of their main home, but they will most of the people can also flow to other matches. So we'll start with what I would say is the like most prominent unit right now in DDT, the 37 Kamina, Sona Kamina. Currently, the leader is not that active in DDT because the leader is Konosuke Takeshita, who is the last ace / current ace of DDT. Yeah, he of course has been for the last 5 years the biggest star in DDT, and of course right now he is living off that success in AEW. And he's making a hell of a run of it because he is one of the most over guys in AEW. We all love him. And he is the leader right now of the Sonic Mina, or we don't know because he just turned heel in AEW. So how is he gonna act when he comes back to DDT? We don't know, but he is gonna come back to DDT. So we'll find that out later. But right now he is the leader, and yeah, what can be said about Konosuke Takeshita that hasn't been said by anyone that the last couple of years? He very much was the biggest star DDT had.
Yeah. My heart is bleeding to the left for AEW.
Yeah.
But like he is so good and so big. Like the world is at his grasp, and he can truly make it. I can't be mad at him for leaving. Though I'm really sad.
He had done everything in DDT, so he doesn't need to be active as he was in DDT. Of course, he is still coming over for big shows in DDT. He is scheduled to be on Wrestle Peter Pan.
Yes.
But the leader when he is in AEW is Yuki Ueno. He very much is positioned as the number 2 of the unit, and almost has taken Konosuke Takeshita's spot on the roster as a whole, and feels like one of the leaders of the company. And he is definitely one of the big up-and-coming stars, and will definitely... The rest of already in the 2020s, he has made a very big success, but I think the rest of the 2020s in DDT are going to be very Yuki Ueno based.
Yeah, he's a clear-cut babyface.
Yeah.
If you look at him, you get like the idol type of Kota Ibushi.
Yeah.
Not especially the craziness, but the wrestling ability and the looks. That's Yuki Ueno.
And then we have Mao and Shunma Katsumata, who are kind of the like comedy people in this unit, but they are also really good wrestlers in this unit.
Absolutely.
They
Mao
are,
is
yeah,
Mao is like the crazy side of Kota Ibushi.
yeah.
He is the
If Yuki Ueno is the handsome and like body like if Yuki Ueno is the athletic and handsome part of Kota Ibushi, Mao is the crazy weird version of Kota Ibushi.
yeah, he is the guy that just tries stuff and
Yeah.
throws it at the wall and looks if it sticks. And Shunma Katsumata, personally, he's my favorite wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
He is. He does death matches. He does comedy, but don't underestimate him. Like he's just an extremely solid wrestler as of itself.
Yeah.
And
He lives by the motto, just do your best. Gabare.
yes, and like the last member of them is Toikuchima, who is a rookie.
Yeah, the rookie of the group. Most of the units in DDT have a rookie in them. I will mention it when when we mention the rookie, but he is the rookie. He is the guy that will take most of the pins in the multimans when they are together. And but he might be a tag team champion at the end of June, so that could be cool.
Let's hope so. He's
I hope
pretty
so.
good. And the
pretty
reason why he is the rookie for Sana Kamina is because he's cute, and like sauna, they're the sauna club for a reason. They all like to go to the sauna, so
Yeah.
with the bare upper body and the cute looks to sell a lot of merch.
And then we have the not in this iteration of it, but it is the oldest unit in DDT right now. It is the fourth generation, the fourth version of Burning, a faction that goes back all the way to All Japan Pro Wrestling in 1998 when it was founded by Kento Kobashi and Yun Nakayama. Right now, it is led by Tetsuo Endo, who is kind of positioned as Yun Nakayama's protege. And Yun Nakayama is the second leader. He is the second guy in the unit. That those two are kind of the leaders, but Tetsuo Endo is very much the frontman of Burning, of the fourth generation of Burning.
Yeah, like they try to pull off that this is like the old Burning, the Noah Burning,
Yeah.
Which it really isn't. And they try to kind of make Tetsuya Endo the new Kento Kobashi.
Yeah, even giving him a very similar theme song.
Oh, it always gets on my nerves.
Yeah,
But
because
it is what it is, and you can always expect pretty good wrestling of Burning, because they also include Yusuke Okada and Yuya Koroku.
Yeah.
And
Yusuke
they're clearly undercard, but they wrestle their asses off, and they're so good.
Yeah. Yusuke Okada came into the company shortly after Yun Nakayama came into the company, and he came from All Japan, just like Yun Nakayama. Yun Nakayama has been with DDT for it was
3 years.
right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was at the start of the pandemic. He was slotted to go to the WWE Performance Center as a trainer.
Yeah.
But he couldn't because of the pandemic, so he went to DDT instead, on loan from All Japan at the time.
Yeah, best decision Yun Nakayama has made. Because he has really gotten a career renaissance in DDT. Some people wouldn't say that, but I would say that because he got a great title reign and he has had some really good matches during the pandemic. Of course, everyone will know who Yun Nakayama is if you have been following pro wrestling in Japan for the last couple of decades.
Yeah.
He is the last surviving member of the Old Japan of the 90s. That is always the nickname I've given him, or the like the fifth pillar or something like that. Like it's Yu Nakayama. He's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Yusuke Okada, as you said, he is such a great undercard wrestler, and a guy that should be getting more, but he doesn't get anything that to do. And of course, Yu Kuruku is the rookie. He is probably one of my favorite rookies in the world. I adore his way of wrestling. He has such a engaging style to him, and I really love him. But yeah,
I
that is
could be wrong on this. I'm not really sure. I need to check it, but I think Yui Kurku is a Animal Hamaguchi trainee.
Oh, that's cool.
So and then he got into the DDT dojo.
Also, a final member of Burning is Kotaro Suzuki, who is kind of an associate. When he is in DDT, he is presented as part of Burning, but he isn't that often in DDT because he is a freelancer. But when he is in DDT, he will mostly be teaming with Burning.
Yeah. So
because
Burning,
he has
all in
been
all,
part of Burning in Pro Wrestling Noah.
yes. Burning, all in all, pretty boring, but the wrestling can be great.
Yes. Speaking of just boring, and wrestling can never be great, Damnation TA, led by Daisuke Sasaki, and the other members are Minoru Fujita, MJ Paul, and Kanon. Kanon is the rookie, who is currently injured, but he is a rookie that came in from JTO last year.
Yes, Damnation
This, of
TA
course, is led by Daisuke Sasaki, who is a very prominent DDT wrestler in its history, and but during this heel run has not been good. I have not been a fan of Damnation TA since I started watching DDT during the pandemic, and I've gone back and watched some of Daisuke Sasaki's classic matches, and like I admit that he has been good sometimes, and he can be good if he wants to, but he rarely puts in that effort.
Damnation TA stands for Total Addiction.
Yeah.
Is in no way associated with Damnation, which was a faction that was forced to disband in a disbandment tournament. That the loser of the tournament need to disband. But you know, Daisuke Sasaki and MJ Paul didn't really care, and they just got back together, took in Minoru Fujita and Kanon, and now it's still the same Damnation with the same music. And the problem with it is it's all very the same.
It has been the same for the last 3 years. It is every match ends up being the same. And we'll talk about that with another unit, but every Damnation TA match ends up being very similar to the last one.
Fun fact. Shuji Ishikawa is a member of Damnation.
Oh yeah, true.
And do you know how he got his nickname?
No.
Daisuke Sasaki bought a pet. And then one day he came with this guy to the ring, which was who was huge and had like a dog head, like of a costume. And he led him to the ring, and he took the head off, and it was Shuji Ishikawa. And ever since, he's the big dog.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he sings karaoke.
That is really cool.
But like Shuji Ishikawa hasn't been in DDT for like 2 or 3 years.
He had a one-off match last year, if I remember.
Okay.
But then we move over to Disaster Box. It is a unit that has lost a lot of members because it is a unit that I feel like almost isn't a unit anymore because all of them are so disjointed. Like they are just the veterans right now, and they will be wrestling with everyone on the company. But it is Harashima, who is the last the Hiroshi Tanahashi of this company. He is Mr. DDT. He is the one that stayed and remained the biggest star of DDT all of its run, and one of the best DDT wrestlers of all time. And it's Toru Owashi, who was a Torimon wrestler, but that left Torimon and now has like been on the freelance. I think he has been part of DDT since like early 2010, something like that. He feels like he has been more in DDT than he ever was in Torimon. And then you have Kazuki Hirata, Tokyo Go. This unit is just the veterans, and they have so much fun with every match when they are together. And even when they are not together, they always have fun with the rest of the roster because they are very DDT.
I love Disaster Box. Hiroshima is 48 at the moment.
Yeah.
If you look at him and see him wrestle,
You will
you
not
don't
think
believe it, but
Yeah.
it is the case. And Owashi and Hirata are just really good comedy wrestlers. You kind of can put in the what's his name? Eggman, the bald.
Eigo Nakamura, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of can put in Keiko Nakamura with them, who is
A rookie.
yeah, well, he is
but
technically
it's
a rookie, wrestled for a long time, but he's always
yeah,
injured.
yeah. He is injured again this year, and yeah, he was back for like 3 months earlier this year, and then he got injured again, and it was so sad. He is one of the guys that I wouldn't be shocked if he announced that he was retired. But
Yeah.
I hope not, because I really love Keigo Nakamura, and I was really liking him and Harashima together.
Yeah, they're clearly babyface. They always have such a great dynamic between them. Disaster Box really is DDT.
Yeah, for sure. And you say Hirata and Owashi are comedy wrestlers, but they also can put on really great performances of just great wrestling. Like we saw last year when Owashi and Harashima challenged Harimau for the tag titles. That is one of my favorite tag title matches of last year, and it is because Owashi was so great in it.
Yeah, and Hirata shows it again and again how great of a wrestler he is.
Yeah. Hirata, of course, almost every show, Tokyo Go Dance, it is so entertaining. It is an homage to Magnum Tokyo from Torimon. So yeah, it is such a good gimmick. I love it. And then we have another unit that is very similar to the Disaster Box, where they used to be pretty prominent, but right now they are pretty much wrestling all over the place, and they are still considered a unit. Eruption, led by Yukio Sakaguchi, and he is with Saki Akai and Hideki Ukotani, who is the rookie of the group. Although I don't consider him a rookie anymore, he, just like Keigo Nakamura, he has been wrestling for so long that he has made it past the rookie status, but he's still, by the company, he's still kind of booked like a rookie. But yeah,
I think we're really just in the stages where this begins to change. He has his first single title challenge in the Extreme title match against Shunma, where sadly Shunma got hurt. That was like a legit death match.
But
it was really good.
In the past, Eruption has been presented as kind of Yukio Sakaguchi's training group where he trains people. Him and Higuchi was, of course, a prominent member of that group up until last year. It was kind of like, it feels like a unit where you will grow into becoming what Higuchi became last year, and that's kind of how they treat it. And Yukio Sakaguchi, of course, is one of, just like Harashima, he is one of the most well-known veterans in DDT. Maybe not as known as Harashima, but he is one of the guys that have stayed with DDT for such a long time, and it has been such a prominent figure in DDT's history. And again, if you want some great matches, look up Yukio Sakaguchi and find every title match he has had with people. He is a former openweight champion.
Yeah, Eruption. When I got into DDT in 2020, Eruption was the best thing going.
Same.
In wrestling in general, the trio back then with Sakaguchi, Higuchi, and Sakurai was just phenomenal. Especially the tag work between Higuchi and Sakaguchi. Was phenomenal. And you just look at this trio, or the four guys that they were in between there for a few months, and they're just the coolest motherfuckers out there.
Yeah, they have been in some of my favorite storylines in DDT the last couple of years have been including Eruption. Hideki Okatani's quest to join Eruption, of just losing all the time to the members of Eruption, and then in one of his most competitive performances against Higuchi said, "Okay, you can join Eruption." One of my favorite moments in DDT the last couple of years. Just Hideki Okatani's journey to becoming a member of Eruption was so special because he made it so special by his performances and his emotion.
Yeah, I have a related moment a few months later when Higuchi left Eruption.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that.
Yeah, and he gifted his robe to Okatani. That was such a special moment.
Yeah, because Eruption come out in these awesome robes that kind of look like they are in what's. It's really cool gear. Yeah, it's very recognizable when you see it.
Yeah.
Of course, what the future of this unit is, we don't know because Sakurai is retiring later this year, probably against Yuki Sakaguchi in the singles match. So we don't know if Eruption is going to stay around after that. I hope they do. I hope they take in a two or three rookies or something like that. Just fill it up a bit, maybe.
Sakaguchi is taking a lot with Hiroshima in recent months, so maybe
that is also true.
Maybe it just fades into Sekigun as it does Disaster Box. But the relationships and the meaning is always there, and Eruption is so full of meaning to every single wrestler involved, and it's really special.
And it all led to I would say the Eruption storyline kind of all led to the great Yuki Sakaguchi challenging Kazusada Higuchi match in Korakuen last year, where they put in all the backstory of Eruption into the VCR, and they went out there, and it felt such like a story of, I am now past you, Yukio. Higuchi is now just, he doesn't need Eruption anymore, but he still loves the time he had there, and it's still so special to him. It was such a great story. One of my favorite matches of last year. But that all leads into me talking about Harimau, which is the newest unit in DDT. It was founded by Kazusada Higuchi and Naomi Yoshimura when Higuchi left Eruption and Naomi Yoshimura left Disaster Box in the same segment. It was kind of like both of them graduating from their respective units. Higuchi from Eruption and Yoshimura from Disaster Box, and kind of joining together in the unit together. And I really liked that story. It was such a cool foundation. And it led into Yuki Ishida joining earlier this year. Or no, it was last year he joined. And he is the rookie. He's kind of like the Haas rookie that fits in with Yoshimura and Higuchi's style. And earlier this year, Basara wrestler Ryota Nakatsu joined, and he is also a former DNA wrestler, which was the kind of NXT-like brand where Naomi Yoshimura, Higuchi, and Nakatsu, and many others like Mao and Shunmao were trained. So it's such a, again, just like Eruption, this unit has so much backstory, and it's so cool.
Man, Yuki Ishida is so great.
Yeah.
He's, as I said, like he's still a rookie, but he has that, and he's a former sumo, so he's small, like he's not tall, but he has the size to him for his frame.
Yeah.
But he is such great underdog babyface fire. And if you want a recent match, look at the KD 6-man title match where they won the championships. Ishida was exceptional there.
Yeah. And of course, him having sumo background led him to joining this unit because it's led by Kazura Higuchi, who also is a former sumo wrestler. And of course, it should be mentioned Naomi Yoshimura is injured right now, but he's still part of the group, and he still like hangs out with the group in backstage and stuff like that. He has just taken off his neck brace from surgery, so he is on the recovery. I think he might be back this year, and I will be so happy when that happens because he has been missed so much.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Higuchi, of course, if you started watching DDT last year, you will know why you started watching it, and it was probably because of Higuchi. Higuchi's title reign was such a like great title reign last year. It was one of the best reigns of the whole year, and it all led to, and of course, I think it brought in a lot of new viewers. I know that because I've seen a lot of people join since then, and I have seen, of course, if you are a new listener, you probably joined during that time, or you have joined this year. Which I feel bad for you if you joined this year because it hasn't been that special this year. Because last year, Kazusada Higuchi's reign is one of the most legendary reigns of all time of the KOD Openweight title. You, as Yannik said earlier, you just go back and watch some of those matches if you have never seen them. And then the last unit before we talk about the unaffiliated or the Sekigun, the rest of the roster members, we have one unit to talk about more, and that is the always skip matches unit, or as they are more commonly known, the Pheromones, led by Danshoku Dandy Dino, and the rest of the members are Yuki Sexy Ino, Yumihito Fantastic Imawari, and Koju Shining Ball Takeda, who is the rookie. So he is kind of a rookie.
No, he really isn't.
But
He's a DNA
new to the
guy.
company. Yeah, he's new to the company, but so he
Which
gets
isn't
treated like the
technically
teenager.
isn't true because he's a DNA guy. He just
Yeah.
left and came back.
Either way, this unit is sexy. That's the only thing about this unit is that they like to take off all their clothes and do sex stuff. And yeah, it's when you've seen it a lot, you get tired of it. If it's your first time watching it, I think it can be entertaining, but I don't. When you've seen it a couple of times, it is so just. Oh, I'm so sick of this.
Yeah. Which is a shame because, I mean, Dancho Kudino, if for those of you that don't know Dancho Kudino, he's basically a parody of Mensteo.
Yeah.
Danjoku is the Japanese word for homosexual. And like he is gay. Like in real life. He just turns it up to 11 for the wrestling. And he does this for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun when it's just him. Like if he goes to the ranks and kisses like random fans.
Yeah.
But now there's 4 guys doing it and we're just over it.
Yeah.
But they're popular with the local fans, and that means they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they are very popular with the native audience, and I think that led to Yuki Sexy Ino getting the title shot versus Yuji Hino earlier this year on Mega Max Bump. And Yuki Sexy Ino is kind of treated like the star of the group because he is kind of the guy that they try to push. But his gimmick is that the more hurt he gets, the more sexy he gets, and the more aroused he gets, and he takes off more of his clothes and all that. It is a gimmick that I'm so tired of, and I wish it would go away. But it is also, as you said, very DDT and very like the native audience have fun with it, so I tolerate it for that.
Yeah. So I'd rather talk about one last unit, quote unquote. It's more of a tag team, which is the CDK, the Calamari Drunken Kings. If you know Brit Rest, you obviously know CCK, the Calamari Catch Kings.
Yeah.
That's all around Chris Brooks, and CDK is his tag team with Masahiro Takanashi. I think they're the current.
No, they lost the Gata Move title.
They lost the All Asia tag titles in Gata Move. Chris Brooks is the current number one contender to the KOD Openweight title. He will get his match at Peter Pan on July 23rd. These two are often associated with guys like Balyan Aki and Minoru Fujita, with the Choco Pro
Antonio Honda
and Antonio Honda.
Hagen Nishino, Drew Parker, all the people that they bring in from Choco Pro / Gata Move will be associated with Calamari Drunken Kings or CDK because they are regulars in Gata Move Choco Pro in addition to being regulars of DDT.
Yeah, and CDK, I absolutely love Chris Brooks. Chris Brooks is like he went to DDT in 2019 and stayed there through the pandemic, and he just fits.
Yeah,
like this guy is.
I am ready for him to be foreign ace, and he's going to be foreign ace because he's probably winning the KOD Openweight title from Yuji Hino, who is the next unaffiliated roster member we will mention. So the rest of the roster is pretty unaffiliated, but there are still some alliances, and Yuji Hino is in an alliance or it is an odd to an old faction that is no longer that prominent, called Omega, which is Yuji Hino and Makoto Ohishi. And
K-Dojo, baby.
Yeah, K-Dojo. So that is kind of they always almost team together, but they aren't officially a unit because they are just two members. But they get called Omega, and Yuji Hino, of course, is the champion right now, so he is the first of the unaffiliated people I will mention. Then it is, of course, the regular, because these are the regular wrestlers that you will see on most shows, but that aren't in units. Sashiro Takagi, the president of the company, he is the runner of the company and the president of the company, the guy that books everything, but he's still a regular pro wrestler doing a lot of gimmick matches, of course, because that is his most prominent style. Then we have veterans like Soma Takao, Antonio Honda, and Akito, who are all like veterans of DDT.
Yeah,
then we have.
I think we don't need to talk about Soma because he's the most 6 out of 10 wrestler out there. Antonio Honda is a legend. He is a DDT comedy legend.
Yeah.
I highly recommend going back and watch some of his older stuff, like the 2012 KOD Openweight match he had against Dancho Dino.
One of the best DDT matches of all time.
Absolutely. Or the blindfolded bra match against Hiroshima. The best DDT match of all time.
Yeah.
His problem is a bit, like, at least to me, is that he hasn't changed up his shtick in a long time.
Yeah.
And as the pheromones, as with the pheromones, I'm kind of tired of it. Akito, he is the vice president of DDT.
Yeah.
Which means that since he has that role, his push has practically stopped.
Yeah.
And he does only inconsequential stuff, which is a shame because Akito is a great wrestler. Please go out of your way and watch the 2019 one Lighttube death match against Asuka, Venny.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
you must
That
watch.
is one of the most watch. Like that match is definitely must watch. Then we also have another veteran, Super Salsa Dog Machine. He's kind of a parody of Super Strong Machine from New Japan, or like Strong Machine J in Dragon Gate, where he kind of has a similar mask, but he also does like a lot of weird random stuff.
He's a comedy wrestler.
He
Does
is a
PowerPoint.
He is the PowerPoint master, of course. He will present his strategy of winning matches in PowerPoint way. Then we of course have Shinya Aoki. Yes, the MMA fighter. Yes, the legendary MMA fighter. He is on this company, living his wrestling dream, doing silly comedy matches and all that stuff. But he has also brought in some UWF matches some once in a while. Like he had last year at Nevermind with Shihiro Hashimoto from Sendai Girls, which was a great match.
Yes.
And then we have currently injured Yuki Unaya. He has no unit right now, but he is currently injured, and he received a big push late last year, and he has gotten really like solid and keeps improving a lot, and I think he really showed out in the match against Yuji. Some people disagree with that, but I think you agree with me there.
Absolutely.
And but unfortunately, he was injured in that match, and he has been wrestling since. And then we have the rest of the rookies that are not in units. So Takeshi Masada, who by all accounts is probably the best rookie of DDT's roster, and he is probably the next like ace of the DDT if he keeps doing what he's doing right now. And he's getting presented as the leader of the young generation because he won the D Generation Cup, which we'll talk about a bit later, earlier this year, and he's very good.
Yeah.
Then we have
He is he is the fastest to debut. Like from the start point that he started training to his debut, it was the shortest time.
Yeah, something like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, I say he is like on that same trajectory as like a Yuma Ansai in All Japan.
Or Mochizuki Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I'll be willing to bet on it. Takeshi Masada will be KOD Openweight champion within the next 3 years. Like they really strapping the rocket to him.
I definitely think that Takeshi Masada will be a KOD Openweight champion during the 2020s. I don't know if it's going to be in the next 3 years or in the next 5 years,
for sure.
But he's definitely winning it. I mean, he even said after DDT's match at the Keiji Muto retirement show in the Tokyo Dome that the next time DDT are in the Tokyo Dome, Takeshi Masada aims to be the wrestler that main events that show and wins the KOD or loses the KOD. That was his goal. He said that in his tweet. That he's going to be in the most prominent match of that show. Maybe that could happen. We don't know. It is lofty goals for sure, but I think he has the potential to do it. Then we have Kazuma Sumi, who he debuted last year, and he apparently was a wrestler that had wrestled in the Dragon Gate dojo, but then left, and now is in DDT. And yeah, he is a pretty good high flyer. He hasn't shown that much yet, but he is pretty good.
Yeah, he's very clearly a Dragon Gate wrestler.
Yeah, you see it when he wrestles.
Yeah, absolutely. He is fast. The high flying is good. It's crisp. Like charisma and character-wise, there isn't much to him yet.
I should mention that all of the people we're talking about right now were born after 2000, so They are young.
Yes.
Of course, then we have the newest rookie, Rukia, who debuted like a couple of months ago, so we don't have that much to say about him because he is very fresh in our minds, but he has a pretty cool look, and he is, as right now, he's just keep improving. Then we
Absolutely.
have Illusion, who is a masked wrestler.
Just
Yeah,
talking about Rukia, like he debuted in April, like 2 months ago. He has I'm not sure if it's an MMA or like a grappling background. But he gets a lot of singles matches right now, like opening matches.
yeah,
And he isn't standing out, but he's incredibly solid.
yeah. Then we have Illusion, who is a masked wrestler. He was part of the DDT project, so he started wrestling in that project when he was a teenager, and I think he now is like 18, 19. And yeah,
He is 2021.
okay. So, but he is again one that keeps improving and keeps showing that he has potential in every match he has, and as well with the last rookie we'll mention, which is Uni, who is 15 years old and does the most insane spots you'll see a rookie do when he's 15 years old, and he is very fresh. He to the roster. He just took off his mask. He was L Unicorn for a couple of years there, and he took off his mask now recently and revealed that he was Uni. And I think when he was 9 years old, he was doing like backstage things in DDT, like segments, if
He
I
is for the
remember.
kids.
Yeah. So he was doing like backstage segments with them, not wrestling, but just backstage stuff. And of course, that led to him now having been unmasked and being a part of the roster, and he's training a lot with. It seems like Yuki Ueno has taken him under his wing, and you can see why, because Yune looks a lot like Yuki Ueno. He has the instant babyface look. That was what I said immediately when he took off the mask. I said, yeah, that guy's gonna be a babyface, big like a big
Yeah,
star.
it was kind of like the Dragon Daya moment.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, that is the rookies. The rookies in DDT are much like in Dragon Gate. They are treated as such a big deal, and rookies, they are given a personality. They are given a gimmick before they are like. They don't need to go on excursion to get a gimmick. They don't need to wrestle 2 years in trunks and have a basic moveset. They start off with so much more personality, and this is not a knock on the Young Lion system in New Japan. It is just an observation that of why I prefer the way DDT does this, because it gives the wrestlers a chance to develop a personality before they are like. They will have fans from the start because they have developed such a unique personality, and they are so different from each other. Like if you line all of these people up on a wall, none of them look the same. They all have different gears, they all have different movesets, and it's really cool, and I really like that about it, and it helps me associate a lot with them. And I think you agree with me there.
Absolutely. Bar the Dragon Gate system, which is just extremely tough. I think the best rookies come out of the Dragon Gate dojo. Yeah. But like second to that, in all of the world, like second to that, there's the DDT dojo. And you know, they often get knocked because like they're the rejects of other companies. Like Hiroshima failed like the New Japan tryouts like 3 times.
Yeah.
And then he went to DDT and became their ace.
Kota Ibushi almost the same with Horimon.
Yeah, absolutely. But DDT, like the work they do in the dojo is really great, and they trust the young guys, and it really makes for special talent.
Yeah.
There is no other rookie like Yuki Ishida. There is no rookie out there like Yu Koroku.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's extremely fun, following them because they have a personality, because they are able to show what they learned, and they are able, to fuck up from time to time.
Yeah. And then the last part of the roster that we'll mention are the mascot wrestlers. They are treated as serious wrestlers, but they are almost always a comedy match. Of course, the mascot wrestlers are Yoshihiko, who is a blow up doll, probably the most prominent one. If you've seen DDT clips, you've probably seen Yoshihiko in them, because like him and Ibushi doing weird stuff, or him. It is a blow up doll that is wrestling, and it's so funny.
Yeah. Don't like. Well, don't be confused. It doesn't matter. Let's say it like that.
It doesn't matter.
It's obviously a female blow-up doll that uses male pronouns.
Yeah. And then we have Pokotan, who is a mascot wrestler who wears like a hamster suit, and his twin, or not really twin, but related, Shitan, who is the recent debut, who was like a TikTok star in Japan that was doing the same thing, being dressed up as an animal and being like really violent. And they are recently debuted. We don't know who's under the mask, but it almost usually are like a DDT veteran.
Yeah, it's probably like 5 out of 6 times. It's like Shota from Gunpro.
Yeah. And then, of course, the most iconic one, other than Yoshihiko, Andressa, the giant panda. You know the one. If you've seen pictures of a giant panda in the ring, this is the one. But yeah, that is the roster. Again, this roster is so unique and different. It is so all over the place in such a DDT way. If we were to give a big six kind of feeling to it, a big six members of the roster, like with Dragon Gate, I would say it is. We don't count Konosuke Takeshita because he's over in AEW. So I'll say Yukio Eno, Mao, Shima Katsumata. Is it fair to give it all three of them?
I don't think. Well, no, I don't think.
Maybe not Shunma.
We can not Shunma, probably not even Mao.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how we can
fix.
Sure. Yeah, Yukio Ueno for sure. Katsusada Higuchi.
Yeah. Naomi Yoshimura, who's injured right now, but he is one of the
he's like on a level with Mao. I'm not sure. I'll put it
right now,
in there.
Yes, but when he comes back, I hope not.
Sadly, Daisuke Sasaki. Tetsuya Endo for sure.
Tetsuya Endo for sure. Harashima still, and Yuji Hino. That would be... And Chris Brooks.
Yeah, Yuji Hino is kind of a weird one.
Yeah, because the thing about Yuji Hino being the champion right now is that he is a freelancer still. He isn't signed with the company, so he isn't strictly a DDT wrestler, even though he's holding the title.
Absolutely. I want to shout out the referees too, especially Yukinori Matsui, who is, in my mind, the best referee in wrestling. Half of the comedy DDT is so famous for wouldn't work with Yukinori Matsui as referee.
Yeah,
he's truly special.
It is special to have his reactions in the corner to everything, and he has been with them since the start of the company. Yeah, he for sure has made sure that they could. Much like Red Shoes, he is such a recognizable ref, but a bit unlike Red Shoes, Matsui helps the matches get kind of a personality to them. Not saying that Red Shoes doesn't do that, because Red Shoes, of course, has kind of a similar vibe to that. But Matsui gives like such a good reaction to like the silly stuff that is happening in the ring that it helps a lot.
Yeah, like most of the time, it's bad if like the referee has a personality.
Yeah.
I'll put Red Shoes in there. I'll put Wada in there.
Yeah.
Where it's just like they try to get themselves over. With Matsui, he's often like at the center of the comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you see him cracking up at their own dumb jokes, it makes everything 10 times better.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll move over to big shows and the touring schedule. So the big shows in DDT, we'll talk about them first. We, at the start of the year, the first big show of the year, as always, the one that gets always like produced as the biggest show of the first part of the year is in March, and it is the anniversary show of DDT, and it's Judgment. That is promoted as the anniversary show. It usually happens. It has happened a lot in Cork and Hall the last couple of years, but it has also been in Sumo Hall, I think, if I remember correctly. It is the anniversary show, and it's produced like that anniversary show. They always have an anniversary match on there, and they're always including all the title matches, and they always bring in some. They will always bring in some memories from past years.
Yeah, they always make it an effort to make Judgment special.
Yeah, because it is anniversary show. Earlier this year, it was the longest 5-hour Corkin of all time. Even though I don't think it was the longest, but it definitely felt long. But it was a good show. Then in Golden Week, which is always in late April or early May, DDT Mega Max Bump, which in recent year has been in in Yokohama Budokan, and it is the Golden Week show. As you probably know if you've been following Japanese pro wrestling, is that every promotion run big shows during Golden Week. This is DDT's one. This year's they had it on May 3rd, and they most of the time have it around that time. And then there is the WrestleMania of DDT. I call it WrestleMania because that's the most commonly known big show in wrestling. Wrestle Peter Pan, always in late July, early August, except for the pandemic when they held it in June, but that's because it was the pandemic. This show is always treated as the biggest show of the year, which is why we are recording this guide before Wrestle Peter Pan, because it brings in some new viewers. Always, it always is the show that gets treated as the biggest, and that is because it is almost always in Ryugaku Kukikigan Sumo Hall. And yeah, normally the main event is the King of DDT, a tournament winner challenging for the KOD Championship. It will be the fact this year on July 23rd when Chris Brooks is challenging Yuji Hino. Chris Brooks just won the King of DDT tournament in May. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, this is the biggest show of the year. Then WrestleMania.
Traditionally, always a very long show.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the most legendary DDT KOD Openweight titles matches are from this show. If you've of course seen the legendary Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega Nippon Budokan show match, that was Wrestle Peter Pan in 2012. Then we have the awesome Harashima and Kota Ibushi match from 2009. And of course we have the great start of the Tetsuo Endo and Konosuke Takeshita feud, which in my opinion, I like. But I know some people don't like it, but I really like the 2017 match and the 2019 match. But yeah, this is a traditionally big show. and it is definitely the big show that you have to watch. And then they are bringing it back this year, but it wasn't in last year. Ultimate Party, which is the November big show. This is, I think, Sashiro Takagi said that he wanted this to become their second biggest show of the year, before their first one in 2019, which was main evented by Konosuke Takeshita and Harashima, which is again a legendary match. And this is the November big show. This year, the only match announced so far is Saki Kai's retirement match, and it will be happening in Ryogoku Kokugan Sumo Hall on November 12th. I'm really happy that they're bringing back the Ultimate Party, because it is a show that I feel like DDT always needs a big show at the end of the year like this, in the last couple of before the DO starts. I mean.
Yeah. I'd say it's like the second biggest show of the year.
Yeah.
Also very long. I have very, very fond memories of the 2020 editions, because that was kind of the start of my, that's the first time I really got the full build to a big DDT.
I really want to do a review of the 2019 show, the first one, because it's such a huge card, and I've seen a couple of the matches from it, but I've never seen it in full. But it is a show that I kind of want to do a retro review about one day. So maybe in the future.
I'm so down for it.
But yeah, and then the last big show of the year. I consider it a big show. I think DDT also considers a big show, because in the last couple of years, the winner of the DO Grand Prix, which is the round robin tournament, which we'll explain in a bit, always challenges in the main event of this show. It is DDT Nevermind, which is always at the last week of December, so it is the year-end big show, and it always hits on in the right after Christmas. I think I think this year they are doing Tokyo Dome City Hall again, just like last year, but in 2021 they did Yogi National Gym, which again is a big venue, and that has had a great main event, which was Konosuke Takeshita versus Yuichiro Kobayashi, and last year was Higuchi and Yuki Ueno for the KOD Open title. And this is such a great end to the year show, and it always feels like the big, we're done for the year. At least that is how it has felt the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the big shows. Those are the big shows that get treated like the biggest shows of the year. Of course, DDT during their tours also treat Korakuen Hall as a monthly semi-big show that are normally given at least 2 title matches, at least, or are the tournament finals or opening nights. And this is something I really like about DDT, and it's that they treat Korakuen Hall as a big venue, because Korakuen Hall, like New Japan will, or Pro Wrestling Noah, never treat Korakuen Hall as the big show, the big venue. They have they will have road to shows there. Stardom does the same there. They have normal touring shows that you will have in other buildings. DDT do Korakuen's, they put title matches in there. It is always they always have one a month per month, maybe 2, but they never have more than that, and they are always given importance.
Absolutely. The thing with Korakuen Hall is that it's a big venue.
Yeah.
You can, if you have the drawing power, you can easily get 1,500, 16, 1,700 people in there. So it's a big venue for the smaller companies, but it's also dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And
it's right
Korakuen,
in the middle of Tokyo.
yeah,
So it's very
Korakuen
central.
is the heart of wrestling in Japan. And it often has such a great vibe to it. But because it's, relatively big and apparently dirt cheap to run, companies like Noah and New Japan just fuck themselves over because they run their shows so often in there that it lost meaning. Which isn't, with what we are covering here with Dragon Gate and DDT and even Great, which isn't the case. So
or Gunpro. Gunpro, especially Korakuen Hall, is big for Gunpro.
Yeah, it's way too big for Gunpro, but it's great for these small time companies. It's an achievement to run Korakuen Hall.
Yeah, but other than Korakuen and the big venues that they do for the big shows, the DDT tours all over Japan during the year. Most of the time, when they run outside of Tokyo or Osaka or Nagoya, like when they run outside of the big companies, most of their shows will be taped. Outside of the big cities, I mean, most of their shows will be taped and show up on Wrestle Universe 2 to 4 days later. But most of the time, they are live on Wrestle Universe, and the tour shows always get if they are in a big venue or like a semi-important venue, they will be live on Wrestle Universe. Like if they are in Osaka Edion Arena or something like that. Number two. But yeah, most of the time DDT are live on Wrestle Universe, but some of their tour shows will be taped and end up on Wrestle Universe 2 to 4 days later. And then there's the special shows that DDT are very unique in running. Yannik, you probably know what I'm talking about because they are one of probably your favorite shows of the year. Street Pro Wrestling and Train Pro Wrestling. Why don't you explain those?
Sure. Like if you listen to this and you still have the idea that DDT is kind of normal.
Yeah.
I can assure you that's not the case. Because they do stuff like Street Pro Wrestling, or Train Pro Wrestling, or Buff Pro Wrestling. Like they wrestled at campgrounds, random stores,
empty Tokyo Dome,
and empty or 2 times. It's always great. They did like a 75-minute match between Minoru Suzuki and Sanshiro Takagi in an empty Tokyo Dome during the pandemic.
One of the best matches. That wasn't during the pandemic. That was before the pandemic.
Was it? I thought that was 2020.
No, it was 2017. Suzuki had the mohawk at the back of his head.
Okay.
The pandemic one was the four-way tag.
Yeah. I thought there were 2 pandemics. Okay. Yeah. But doesn't matter. This obviously like, is this wrestling? Yes, it is. Is it dumb? Yes, it is. Yeah. It's always lighthearted fun.
The funniest part about the Train Pro Wrestling is that they get on a moving train and they wrestle in the cabins of the trains, and it's so funny because they will have fans be able to reserve seats and sit on them like it's a normal train ride, and while they are resting around them, and it's so funny. And more people would get on the train as it stops on the stop.
Yeah, and it's a battle royal, so you can be eliminated when you get thrown out of the train at a stop.
Yeah.
But you have to imagine they had in 2020 they had Yuji Hino debut for them in a public bath.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good.
Such a unique time. It's so fun. With the Tokyo Cup, which was a multi-man like tag, which featured TJPW wrestlers, including Tokyo Joshi Pro wrestlers, including DDT Pro wrestlers and some freelancers, was one of my favorite empty arena pandemic matches. So, it was so fun. It is a match that I will put on for my non-wrestling friends, and they will be so entertained by it.
Yeah, they obviously kind of had to stop with a lot of this stuff during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they're kind of slow to take it back up.
Yeah, because it isn't. It is a fun thing to do, but it isn't a priority.
Yeah.
So they'll do it
but
when
in
they
general,
want to
like
do it.
the most famous one is probably the Apartment Pro Wrestling with Kota Ibushi.
Which I really
But
miss.
all in all, like you all also have like beer garden shows where they drink, liters and liters of alcohol.
That is coming back this year. That
And
is coming back in August.
I sadly won't be there because it's in August.
Yeah.
I would love to attend the beer garden show. Mao ran over Sanshiro Takagi with a minivan.
Yeah.
That's also a very DDT thing. In general, lots of bicycles and towers of chairs.
And then before we close up with this guide, we'll talk about the tournaments in DDT. Which will start with the King of DDT, which is normally from May to June. And the King of DDT is the longest going tournament in DDT's history because it was started in 2004. It is such an old tournament. It is simple. It is a yearly single elimination tournament, and it is to determine the strongest wrestler in DDT. This year's winner was Chris Brooks. Last year's winner was Kazusada Iguchi. It is a single elimination tournament where they kind of do it similar to every single elimination tournament until they get to the semifinals, where they will have people draw straws about who they will face in the semifinals from both sides, And so you can face someone from the other side from you. So it is unique in that way, and I really like it. As I said, it normally runs from May to June, and the winner normally faces the KOD champion at Wrestle Japan. If they're not the KOD champion, then they will face someone of their choosing.
The best part about the King of DDT is that this year it was over in 3 shows.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. It isn't like a big tour or anything. It can, like, in the early years of it was decided in like a day. It was a day tournament, but because it's single elimination, it can go like that. Then we have probably the biggest tournament in DDT each year, the Dio Grand Prix, which is normally in November to December. The Dio Grand Prix is a round robin tournament, much like the G1. This is exactly like the G1 actually, because this is a tournament where you have great matches, you have really great stuff, and they always almost bring in at least one outsider that will do unique stuff and bring some kind of new flavor to it.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, the
didn't.
outsider doesn't need to be good. Like one year they had they had 2 outsiders. One was the great Yuchio Kobayashi, and the other was the Bodyguard.
Yeah, but that tournament, 2021, was one of my favorite tournaments of all time in wrestling. So
Which
that
one?
tournament
They
was
had
great.
2 in 2021.
the Dio Grand Prix, the Kobayashi one.
Yeah. At one point they were out of sync with the year. Like the counting was out of year, and there was the DO Grand Prix 2021 one, or just the DO Grand Prix 2020 or 2021, and then there was the DO Grand Prix 2021 2.
Yeah. I'm talking about the one that was going from November to December.
Very DDT.
Yeah,
very DDT.
But yeah, the winner always receives a KOD Openweight title shot at the major DDT show, most likely the Nevermind show. And yeah, this is also a tournament that is run by Kenta Kobashi, the legendary Kenta Kobashi. He is the chairman of the executive committee. So his role is to oversee the tournament and help grow its reputation as one of Japan's major tournaments.
I just think he's always there.
And he brings that. He is the ambassador for DDT. He will be at every show. I think that is something that he has become the last couple of years since Yu Nakayama joined. And I like that because that leads me to getting to hear his team live, and I love that.
I mean,
and he's such a joy when he comes out. But yeah, this is most like every other round robin tournament. 2 blocks. Most of the time is 2 block. I don't think they have done multiple blocks, more than 2 blocks before. But
yeah, they have done them with 6 members and with 8 blocks.
Yeah. But last year they put in a rule that you had to be under 40 to enter it, which led Yuki Ueno to win it. I don't know if that's going to be the rule this year. It might be, but they haven't said anything about it. But it is a tournament that we will cover on this show in November to December. And yeah, and then there's the Ultimate Tag League. This is a tag league that they haven't done this year yet, but it usually happens at the start of the year. But instead of the tag league this year, they did the D-Generation Cup. But the tag league is a tag league. It is a round robin tag league, and the last winners was Disaster Box, Harashima, and Naomi Yoshimura.
And it's usually a pretty good tag league.
Yeah, I really liked 2022's edition. I hope it comes back before. I hope they bring in the ultimate part of it and have the finals at the ultimate party in November.
They also do, like last time they did it. This isn't a normal thing, but DDT doesn't shy away from stories like Naomi Yoshimura and Harashima, the champions. They vacated the titles before the tournament.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to defend it, and their story was that they reclaimed them, and well, then they lost in the first defense of them of the second reign. But that's not the story. The story was that they wanted to defend it, and they were able to do so. So they are willing to make it special and their own, and at least to me, the tag tournament or the tag league is always a fun time.
Yeah. Also, this is a very young tournament. They've only had 2021 and 2022, so it's only 2 years so far. So they might have just dropped it this year. I hope they haven't, because I really liked 2022 edition and the 2021 edition actually. But then we also have the D-Generation Cup. That was a new tournament this year, which is a rookie tournament. It was won by Takeshi Masada. You have to be a rookie to be in it, and it was a round robin earlier this year. And it was like 4 people per block. But I really liked it earlier this year.
I hope it comes back.
I really hope it comes back.
It was fantastic.
And that was kind of a spiritual successor to the Young Drama Cup, which was a tournament that they did back in the late 2000s. But it is kind of similar to that, but again, that had been gone for such a long time that it kind of they wouldn't, if they had used that name, no one would have gotten the reference, which was why they named it the D Generation Cup, which I really liked. But yeah, that is DDT. Any last things you want to say about DDT before we close?
Sure. We have said that DDT is or like I have said, DDT is my favorite promotion. And we have also said that DDT didn't have a great year so far. The thing with DDT is, and we also said that they are extremely honest what they are.
Yeah.
And while they aren't the most creative this year, and they're still very DDT. And to me, what they are is soul food. And you know, I can't say it will be what you like. You need to find that out for yourselves.
Yeah.
But at least to me, DDT is like a home that I can always come back to and just see my. It sometimes feels like, I see my kids just out there doing dumb stuff, and it's always such a great time.
They like to end their big shows with having like a almost end credits scene where they show like footage of the ring setup and all that, and backstage stuff that happened after the matches and stuff like that. And it's such a wholesome feeling, and it gives such a warm feeling to it, of DDT feeling like it's just a family getting together, just having fun and wrestling. And that is what I love about it. It is a promotion that is so honest with how they present themselves, and
always an easy way to make me cry.
Yeah, they are easily one of my favorite companies as well. This year has been a bit rocky, but at any moment they are able to bounce back. They had one of the worst matches this year at Mega Max Bump this year
in the main event.
Yeah, and then a couple of days later, they bounce back instantly with having two great opening rounds of the KOD of the King of DDT, and that was just in 3 days. In 3 days, 3 days after one of the worst matches I've seen this year, they bounced back with one of the best opening nights of in tournaments this year, and that is just in testament how DDT are. They are so. They at any moment they can fuck up, but they can also win you back instantly by doing something really entertaining.
Sure.
And that is why I really love the promotion.
If you have any questions, just ask us. Well, ask me. I'm sure you can ask Sondre too. We're glad to help if you need like recommendations or stuff. We're here for you. It's kind of our mission to give DDT a platform, and we love to see it grow.
One last thing. If there is a DDT match you can recommend, what is the match?
That's so hard because one match. That's so hard because DDT is so many things to me. I have 3 and I can't decide.
I will go with a work rate one. So
okay, then I'll go with the dumb stuff.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd go first.
Oh, you can go first.
Then I'll say it's the DDT Extreme title match between Shunma and Mao. It was a kids' room death match. it was a death match, but they only were allowed to use weapons that were sanctioned by Yukinori Matsui by his definition of, yeah, this could be in a kid's room or it couldn't be.
Nice. Yeah, that is a good one. I will recommend one of my favorite matches of all time, and probably one of the best KOD openweight title matches of all time. It was last year. It is fresh in people's mind. You probably have seen it. It is Konosuke Takeshita versus Kazusada Higuchi. To my mind, that is one of the best KOD openweight title matches you will find. Other than that, you can find, as I said earlier in the episode, the whole Harashima and Shigehiro Irie feud is worth it, and Harashima versus Konosuke Takeshita from 2019 again. So fantastic.
Also, you can watch practically everything by Eruption. You need to watch Akito versus Asuka, as mentioned before. That's for free on YouTube, which is also like an encapsulation of what DDT is, with its athleticism and cellular rules and all.
And of course, in honor of Number Reacts, you have to watch Antonio Honda versus Danshoku Dino from 2012 into the fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, with that being said, until next time, as always, be ready, wake up, and go.